years, and a lot of you guys knew Jay for 50 years. We played against him all those 50 years. So we're lucky to have Joan here to talk about Jay, which is wonderful. And Wally will do a brief introduction. She'll explain and talk a little bit about Jay, and then we'll start moving on with some other things in the evening. Please, come on.
Yeah, no, it's really lovely show. Good evening. I've been given the privilege to say a few words about a fallen soldier, Jay Gillespie, affectionately known as Jungle Jay, who was nicknamed after his wild, full mop of curly hair. Jay picked up the squash racket at the age of 14, catching on very quickly, as evident by his illustrious collection of 46 doubles titles and 9 singles titles. So who was this Jungle Jay? He was a wee bit quirky, a tad eccentric, and conveniently naive. He loved his potato chips, a glass or 3 of red wine, and had a passion for White Sox both on and off the court. Most of us know him as an intense and fierce competitor. There was never the thought of giving up, not ever. He was a true warrior, and that's exactly how he faced pancreatic cancer. He was defiant. Cancer to him was just a huge inconvenience. Diagnosed in July 2013, how poignant is it that his last squash match was on November the 19th with his son, Sean, and they won. With us tonight are some of Jay's greatest partners, Leslie Freeman, I don't know where you are, Leslie? Steve Heisey, Scott Dolmage, and Scott Stonebrook. All of us would like to share a little bit about Jay's playing with Jay, because I know, and I apologize, 60% of you in the room don't know who Jay is. So I'm going to let you know what it's like playing with Jay. Okie dokie, here we go. Jay was always an encouraging coach, willing to share his insights. Sometimes they were subtle, and sometimes not so much. But rule number 1, every ball back. He was deliberate and methodical, and we all had to religiously follow his playing routine. First, it was the bike ride. Before every match, you had to go and ride the bike. But you're only allowed to ride for 2 or 3 minutes because it was a warm-up, not a workout. Then there was the odd stretch. And of course, that was Jay's idea of doing 100 push-ups. Then he loved to go on to the singles court and fire around that doubles ball. I believe deep in his heart he really thought that one day he would be playing here in Calgary in a national championship, given the speed of the ball on your course. After you get off the court, he'd always say, "I feel good, I'm feeling really good." And then finally it was the regulation 5-minute warm-up on the doubles court. And just when you thought the court time was imminent to start the match, Jay would wander off the court. He'd remove his warm-up jacket, his sweatpants, and then he'd neatly fold them in a nice little pile. And this is true, seriously.
Yeah, that was the important part.
And, oh God, they only gave me 3 sheets. Hold on, guys. Oh, I'm gonna have to have a look at the rest. Anyway, he would fold them in a nice little pile, and then he'd take his time and put on his headband. And we had to sit there and watch while he put his headband on. After he put his headband on, then we'd all go back onto the court, and yes, it's time to start the match. And then Jay would go, "Oh, I need a few practice serves." So of course everybody had to have a practice serve, because if Jay practiced a serve, his partner had to practice a serve. And as a gentleman, he had to ask the oppositions to practice a serve. Now the game blew. We start to play the match. He's hitting amazing shots, great rallies are going on, and all of a sudden Jay goes, "Score please, score please." Jay, you just announced it. I know. "Score please, score please." Off we go again. The rallies are going great. Jay's turn to serve. Jay comes in serving from the right. Looks around the room. He looks at the ref. He looks at the players. He goes, "Coming in from the left, coming in from the left." Everybody would have thought he was doing this just to screw with the opponent's heads, but honestly, Jay was very superstitious. He honestly believed he had to do this every single match. It was tough being Jay's partner. In between matches, he'd come out and he was so jacked up he had to give you some advice, and then he'd give you some strategy, and then he'd give you strategy on the strategy, and then you had to go back out and you had to execute it. You know what? There's not a piece of advice I wouldn't give my eye to hear it again from Jay. Anyway, in closing, we lost an amazing person, a great player, an ambassador of our game, a great friend to a lot of us in this room,
Hear, hear.
to his family and to his wife. And I'd probably like to say that we should have 60 seconds of silence, but Jay could never shut up for 60 seconds, so it would be totally inappropriate. So if I could ask you to raise your glass and a toast to Jungle Jay.
I just wanted to add a brief word. My message is really one of thanks. I wanted to start by thanking Jack Hoogstraten and Mike Paterno, the organizers of this tournament, because it's a huge effort, and Lolly Gillen too, for all the work in making this possible and inviting me here this evening to share in this amazing tribute to Jay. It was just a year ago, right now actually, early April, that Jay was inducted into the Ontario Squash Hall of Fame. And he gave this amazing, passionate, courageous speech that brought everybody to their feet. And you could tell that squash was his passion for decades. And I just wanted to really take the opportunity actually tonight to thank the squash community at large for all the support that they gave to Jay and the family in the 2.5 years since that diagnosis. And I also wanted to say that I think that his ability to continue to play squash, including some tournaments and everything, even while he was undergoing treatment, and be able to play with his son, as Lolly mentioned, I think his love of the game and the fellowship he got from this huge squash community across the country kept him going way beyond expectations. So I just want to, I just wanted to say he was a true champion, and he would be absolutely thrilled and honored at this tribute tonight, as he was by the hundreds of people who actually turned up at the Cricket Club a few months ago for his celebration of life. So, from the whole Gillespie family, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you and play on.
I can share a very short story about Jay. Now, I'm from Western Canada, and I really didn't know Jungle Jim until about 4 years ago. And certainly a very fierce competitor. There are many in this room who have an on-court personality and an off-court personality, and certainly Jay fit that description very well. But certainly a particular match that Jack and I had with Jay 3 years ago at the Nationals in Toronto, we were fortunate enough to sneak out a victory. And part of the process after you win a match, you ref the next match. So what happened is, I'm sitting next to Jack. He can't hold on to the scoreboard. He can't keep score. His hands are shaking. I'm going, hey, what is? It was just won a good match, and we're moving on to the next round. Like, what's going on? He says, Mike, you don't get it. Get what? I've played with Jay all my life, and I've never beaten him once in either singles or doubles. So Jack, that was, I'd never seen that before, but how many years is that, Jack? 45? 45 years of losing to Jay Gillespie.
Not the only one.
I have to say there's quite a few in this room that would fit that bill. Okay, one of the most important things that we have to do is we have to thank